It's your boy Nova Z the ENT coming at you with a little bit different of a little thing right now, right? I kind of wanted to jump into what's going on with Highguard, right? Like, is it a good game? That depends on what you mean by good game, right? So the general consensus, and I have to agree with this right after having played it a couple days myself, is that Jeff Keighley definitely didn't do this game any favors, right? So, um, if I'm being completely honest with you, as I saw the discourse, you know me, I'm a contrarian, I'm a Division One hater. Seeing all the Endymions and the people like that of the world saying that the game was going to fail without, this was weeks ago. Game hadn't even kind of come out. There was no sort of beta or anything like that. Now, the normal human being, regular thinking man in me said, man, when this game comes out, it's free to play. Let it drop. Play it with the crew for a little bit. Let's see if it's actually good. Treat it like a beta, like we're playtesting it, and then we'll judge it as such. But, if I'm being honest, seeing those type of people have the opinions that they do, where they haven't even, obviously it's woke, whatever, corporate shield, blah, 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 Jeff Keighley is, a pariah on gaming, blah, blah, right? It made me want to help the game succeed, and I still think that, but let me give you an honest assessment of my time with the game. On the first night when we played it, right? I played it with my wife the first night. I am not going to lie to you. I was appalled. The exact text I sent to the group was, "This game is dog shit. It's not even a real game. I wouldn't call it that. I'll call it a hodgepodge of Unity assets thrown together. It felt like a Kickstarter that they had to have come out in order to avoid having to give money back to people, but we knew it wasn't, right? So we played it that first night. It sucked. I played it the second day. After talking over with one of my boys, he's a chronic optimist, right? He says, like, somebody could throw shit on the shoe and he could say, man, I think I can make this work. I think I can go down the runway with this, right? So I tried to give it a look from his perspective. He said, like, after he looked it up a little bit and saw how people were playing the game, he said, let's give it another try, and let's see if we can do what other people are doing with a little bit more understanding, treating it as a game that isn't really a game, And I'm not gonna lie to you, a couple beers in me, playing a game with some people who actually wanted to play the game, it definitely changed the overall aesthetic of the game itself. I will say, if you can find people who actually want to play the game with you instead of randoms in a lobby, this is that kind of game, And I know a lot of you will probably say, yeah, obviously it's this kind of game. Like, it's a team shooter, it's a looter shooter. You should know that these kind of games need a team, right? Well, yeah, but you could jump into Overwatch, and I think it's because it's been out long enough for you to be able to, when you pick a character, you know your role. When you see a team comp, you know the team comp, and you know what you're supposed to do within that team comp, right? This game is so new that there's almost no synergy, right? Like, I couldn't imagine trying to play this game 3v3. I think the 5v5 still isn't enough people for how large these maps are. And I still think the building phase at the beginning is almost useless, because the way you play the game, right? You almost, let's say it takes 2 hits to destroy a wall. If you reinforce it, it might take 5. Somebody's gonna get in the comments and tell me exactly how much damage each wall takes, but it takes like 2 more shots to take down a wall when it's reinforced. So you spent an extra 3 minutes getting those walls able to take an extra 2 hits. It's not worth it, right? And then the money, like the mining currency aspect of it in the middle of the game, feels shoehorned in. Like, they made a shooter and they realized that to differentiate themselves, they had to put this in. So they put in the vendor mechanics, the looter mechanics, and they don't work well. Like, they don't feel necessary until the fact that you can't actually kill your opponents because they're geared up so high. So it kind of forces you to interact with that, but it doesn't feel good, right? Like, it doesn't feel like the looting aspect is a necessary evil until the fact that you're overpowered and you have to now interact with it, right? You don't feel like good about getting upgrades. Like when you get an ultimate in Overwatch, because you don't feel that way in this game, right? When you get in Call of Duty, when you get that big gun. Halo is actually the best example now that I'm thinking about it, right? You felt the difference between when you got a sniper rifle, when you got the sword, like somebody with a sword, and you say, hey, we have to zero in on that guy. That guy's going to be a menace. We have to make it happen, right? Or that one good guy gets that sniper and you've got to zero in on them. It completely changes the way the game is played when you've got those power weapons on that map, right? And this game doesn't have that, right? Yet it'll get there, and that's what I think that we all have to remember. That this game is basically we're playtesting this game for this team, and it's up to our feedback to turn it into a game that's worth playing long term. But I will say right now that feels incomplete. Another thing, I know this is gonna sound, you're gonna say get good, learn to get sweaty, get up, get your weight up, right? But this game does a terrible job of intuitiveness, right? Like, I get it. You're gonna call me a casual, right? Like, you kind of take for granted red outlines around enemies, clear indicators on the map of where, like, in the capture the flag mode, right? This game reminds me a lot of Shadowrun from back in the day. If anybody's old like me, the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of that game. It reminds me of that game in the art style and its play style. But one of the things it did well is that if somebody had the flag, it told you where it was. I get it's a very casual way to think about it, but this seems like a party casual game. It's a game that can be, like, has levels to it, right? You can play this on a drunken night with the boys and or the team or the squad, and then you can get sweaty and level up and make it an esports type game. And there's certain quality of life things that they don't have in this game that I think they should implement in order for you to attract a wider audience, right? Like, you kind of you have to put the guardrails on in the infancy of your game to get people to be intrigued to come and play it longer than a couple minutes, a couple days, a couple hours, right? Because when I was playing it with the crew, I could see the vision, right? Like, I still didn't want to interact with the mining aspect of it. I know they can improve that. One of the things that they should do, if I'm spitballing, the mining aspect should be in between rounds. Or let's say you die and you go back to spawn, mine real quick while you're at spawn. A gear up there, then head back into the fray. Something that makes it feel like, yes, you're on a time crunch to get better weapons, better armor, better gear, but it's not taking you out of the firefight while you're in it in order to get to that point, right? And again, I'm thinking about this as I'm on their beta team, because remember, the game is free to me. I'm playtesting, giving out my feedback. I can see where the vision is, right? Like, currently there's 8 characters, there's 5 classes, 8 characters, so you're going to get mismatched and unbalanced play. So far, there's a character who's completely lopsided on offense, right? Very powerful on offense, does a bunch of damage, but is almost completely useless on the other side, right? So it does get you in the mind frame that your team has to be more aggressive when you see one of the people pick this character, right? But the synergy with support characters is almost non-existent unless you've got a team with mics, right? The character I like to play, Mara, it relies on, when you die, you go into these orbs. Now, you can be revived from the orbs, or you can crush the orbs to break the enemy you've killed. And my character relies on taking the enemy orbs to charge my ult, and the ult is I place a spawn point wherever I want to place it. That's actually a pretty nifty little gimmick, right? But without a mic, and the game is so new, people don't understand. Like, hey, if whether you killed him or I killed him, let me run in, let me, get this orb, absorb this guy, so I can charge my ult. So I'm sure once this game's been out longer and everybody's been able to play these characters, which they said, my boy said that they're dropping new content every week. Not sure how tenable that is, but I am interested to see more characters um, to kind of flesh out these classes. Um, the base building actually is not bad. I thought that this would be the worst part of it, playing essentially um, not search and destroy, whatever the mode is in Call of Duty where you got the bases. You know what I'm talking about, right? But playing that every single time, but once you get into the swing and you play a couple matches, you kind of get the point. So that 2 or 3 minutes where you're setting everything up doesn't feel as bad. I still think that needs to be maybe half as long to keep you in the action, keep it good to go, right? Because since the maps are so large, it doesn't feel good even with 5 people. I may even say 8 might be the right number, or the maps need to be half as big, because the best part of this game is when you're assaulting the base. But half of the match is done in preparation to assault the base, but almost none of it feels useful at the current juncture, right? So, um, if I'm giving you an honest, I can't even give you a rating like out of 10 because I don't think this is a game. Um, if I'm giving you an honest assessment of how I think if they take feedback well, implement changes as quickly as they did with this first change about adding 2 more people to each to each team, I could actually foresee this being a game that, as long as the monetization stays loot box style, like, it's all cosmetic. I did like that about um, Overwatch. I know there's some people who are like, "Oh, you shouldn't pay anything for." No, shut up. Either you pay $60 for the game, or you pay for loot boxes to get cosmetics. I get it. You want to be able to choose which character because you only play a couple characters. Just play every character, man. Be well rounded. Like, don't be what CC and Zaza and only play 1 or 2 characters and ruin a $40,000 tournament for your team. Which, by the way, if Highguard ever has a $40,000 tournament and you're on my team and I'm trash at one character, you make me switch. You tell me, hey, don't your kids need food? Aren't they hungry? You switch to this comp and we gonna make it happen. And I guarantee you I'm gonna switch because I don't just play for vibes. Even when I'm casually playing the game, I still want to win, right? But overall, I can see the potential of this game. I couldn't the first day. I'm telling you, like, that first experience left a terrible taste in my mouth and never want to play it again. I'm glad I gave it a second chance. There's still a lot of work to do, but I do see this game being something that can have a good long life, right? Again, I think Jeff Keighley kind of, now, especially after you find out they didn't want the notoriety they got from him, they didn't pay for the spot. He just thought it was a great idea, and this is another reason why I want to help them succeed, right? It is always good to root for an underdog, and that's how I kind of see them now, right? Because Keeley simply, like I said, I love this idea. I like what's going on here. Let me do my part to elevate you to a place that you couldn't get right now monetarily, right? But instead of, I'm gonna tell you exactly how you should have done it. You can quote me on this, 13 minutes into the video. Cut this and then send this to Jeff Keighley, and he's gonna go, "Yep, that's how I should have done it," right? He should have said, "Hey," because first off, don't put it at the end. Putting at the end, terrible idea. What he should have done is said in the middle, right? Said, "Hey, I just want to take a second to put this on your radar, right? This team from to make games you love like Titanfall and things of that nature. Some of the developers came over here. They've got a project they have coming soon called Highguard. It's a looter shooter team based hero amalgam, and they could really use your help in crafting the best game possible. So it drops on January 31st, right? If you guys could just give it a chance, play it, be active on their subreddit, their forum, their Twitter, their X, their Blue Sky. Give them any feedback you think would make this game worth playing, and I'm sure we'd all appreciate it. This is your chance to be a part of history and be a part of the Highguard. And then it goes to like whatever, right? But he should have done that, because then people would have seen themselves as a utility. Like, Reddit mods don't get paid. So there's there's a subsection of people who enjoy volunteering their time to feel like they belong, and this is exactly where he could have done a great job of endearing an audience and providing them a lot of free publicity at the same time, right? Because that's what I'm currently doing. I'm trying to play the game to help get these chuds out of here, and help this game succeed as much as I can, But currently, as it stands, if you're looking for a complete game, stay away from this game. There's a lot that this is a game that I will only be playing because I have a lot of other games I can play, and this is a great game for me to play when all the kids go to sleep. The boys are online. My wife wants to play a game, and we can kind of crack open a few beers and just enjoy ourselves. Talk that talk like we want to do it. You can play 1 or 2 games, jump out, then come back a little bit later, and you're still in the session while having fun, right? And overall, you know, I'm interested to see in a year's time, if it makes it that long, which I hope it does, what the landscape of Highguard looks like, and I hope the narrative behind it is the community supported it enough that it doesn't have to be the most popular game in the world. It doesn't have to be number one on billboards, number one on charts. It just has to be a game that you want to play, and a game that you want to play with me as the Zetaverse grows. So, go give it a chance, right? Play it for a couple hours, because I'm going to tell you, I did think, like, there's a guy who posted I looked up one of the guy's tips and tricks. I don't remember his name, right? But, he said, like, you can't comment on this as if you played more than 5 hours. Shut up. Yes, you can. If you played one, now I'm going to go on the other side of it, right? If you haven't played a single game, I don't think you should be able to talk about if the game's good or not. I would put that to anything, right? But specifically in a game like this, like, so if you just said, like, this game looks bad, yes. Say, hey, I think this game looks bad. I'm not going to play it. That's a fair assessment. Got you, right? Fair opinion. Saying this game is bad when you haven't touched it, I cannot stand by that, right? But I don't think you have to play 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hours to get an opinion on this game. Like, you can form an opinion after a couple matches, but I do think if you give it a chance, you'll change your opinion like I have. I'm not on the affirmative, right? I don't think that this is a great game, but I do think it has potential to be something. It just needs work, and it's free to play, so I'm completely fine giving it the time that it needs. I played Dragon Age Inquisition for 176 hours before I thought the game was fun, so I'm a different kind of case, right? I'm willing to do stuff for a long time before I think there's any payback for it, right? So yeah, my opinion of Highguard is give it a chance, play it. Obviously, I don't have any stake in it. They're not paying me, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's worth, if you want to be a part of a community and want to be a part of positive change, that this is your chance to do it. And with some, make the map smaller, cut the time to make the bases solid in half, and character highlights around your enemies. Display your teammates' names above their character's head. That'll be a lot better. Or if they're speaking, like on a mic, have the mic waves on top of the icon of the character. That'd be nice. The Oath Breaker or sword, the Shield Breaker, it has a giant blue light that is in the sky on the map. Maybe put that on, when you, like, on the actual map, you can see it from wherever you are if you're outside. Make that on the map and have the option to play in a game mode where you don't see that, just until everybody's getting the habit of being able to communicate with people, so they can say, hey, the Shield Breaker's over on spot A or spot B, but nobody knows the maps well enough yet to know where spot A and spot B is, And yeah, actually, I think that's about it. Like, if with those couple changes, those couple quality of life changes, I think they'll see a much higher retention in the player base, and it'll grow organically from there. So, hey, thank you for stopping in. I know this is a little bit different of a video, but I just thought I needed to kind of weigh in on how Highguard is going and what my experience was. Check out some other videos. I'm going to put a video over on this side. And I'm going to put a subscribe button over there. So if you could, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, check out some other videos. Leave me some comments for the algorithm. Help your boy get monetized. Welcome to the Zetaverse. Thanks for stopping by. 1.